All right, time for On the Radar, and we're going to kind of take a look at some of the best performing stocks that, Dan, you like this year. And Dan Rohinton, of course, portfolio manager at IA Global Asset Management. And we're going to take a look at the stocks that were on everyone's radar. And first up for you is Western Digital.
Yeah, and I think we can loop in the rest of the memory space as a whole. There's all kinds of different memory, but when you think about what's been going on is there's a memory squeeze that's happened, and it's being priced into these equities. So if you look at a SanDisk, it's up almost 500% on the year. Western Digital, over 200%, I believe. Micron, and then you can go to the other side of the pond, the Pacific, and see that SK Hynix and Samsung, which are some of the big memory players in Korea, all of them have had a tremendous run. And I think the reason for that is there's a belief that memory is in significant undersupply. And these stocks have historically been cheap and deeply cyclical, and they've priced in a big recovery cycle that's been going on. So the real test will be next year is, are we going to see more supply come on, and will it truly be scarce or not? But I think all roads lead to a pretty significant memory cycle, and this is where these companies have been pricing in.
And even though it's been priced in, you still see room for it to grow?
I'm not too sure. It was more just to appreciate what the biggest movers of the year are and what it looks like going into next year. I think it's a bit of a toss-up. Memory at this scale to bring on is hard, but over time, these deficits do turn into gluts as time goes on, as with any capital cycle. But I think it might be too soon to call it the end of the memory cycle early next year. Yeah. But maybe mid next year to late next year might be a different story.
And Seagate is one of those similar as well?
Yep.
All the same situation for it, eh?
Different types of memory, different types of end uses, but the underlying driver is all the same.
I just saw a new word, DRAM.
DRAM,
Or is it DRAM?
It's DRAM.
I like DRAM. I'm Scottish. I'm half Scottish. I'll go with that. Robinhood.
Yeah, that's been one of the other successes of the year. Yeah. And I think, once again, for Robinhood, when you see what's happened, it went from being effectively, call it undervalued, and then there was a decent-sized crypto cycle during the balance of this year. A little bit less so recently, for sure. There's been a lot of retracing back. But they basically are call it the younger generation's Charles Schwab. Yeah. So it's in the zeitgeist, it's popular, and every crypto cycle tends to bring in more users, more accounts for them. And then they can hold on to those accounts for, call it, strong net new asset growth as time goes on. So you basically lock in the customer, bring them into your ecosystem. Whether they make money or lose money, day trading is really besides the point for Robinhood. It's as long as you just throw that extra paycheck and those savings, and this is your store of value and your wallet for making investment decisions in the future. And it's been executing really well. I think this is one of those companies is when you take a step back, take the crypto conversation out of it, it's basically going to lead in fractional trading, private market shares, and we've been seeing this convergence of public-private markets where there's a gray zone, because SpaceX is worth $800 billion in the private markets. A lot of the big AI labs are privately funded at $500 billion today, was the news with Amazon and OpenAI. Yes. Right? So those are all private. Robinhood can probably bridge that gap in a way that the other, call it, legacy discount brokerage companies cannot. So it's an impressive company, irrespective of the stock price move one way or another.
And what do you think of it starting to the custom sports parlays? Is that is that anything to it, or?
Yeah, I mean, if it's a way to do gambling without having a gambling license or a gaming license, as it's called. And I think it's one of those things where if you call it sports betting or prediction markets, that's a very veiled way of saying, I'm going to bet on the coin toss of the next football game, or in the third inning, will there be a strikeout, things like that. So this is one of those things where, as with actually tobacco and nicotine consumption, markets will move at their pace, and regulators are going to catch up probably too late. And I think this is going to be the dynamic here as well. So Robinhood is one of those players. Interactive Brokers is one of those players. Kalshi and Polymarket. All of these companies have, in different capacities, large platforms behind them. So you can bet your dollar that it's going to come through in a big way on these platforms, and we're going to see call it a golden age of gambling pick up.
Okay, let's get one more in. We're almost out of time. Palantir.
Yeah, I think this is a classic case of one of the most purest expressions of AI native companies, and they call what their go-to-market is what's known as forward deployed engineers, which was call it a spin on what they used to do with the U.S. military, where they would have engineers sitting in Afghanistan and things like that, helping to solve the military's problems. They're taking that go-to-market approach for the enterprises, where if you're a business, a Palantir engineer will come in and help solve your AI problems. So it's a phenomenal model. It's actually a very profitable company in its own right. The CEO is a bit eccentric and what have you, but it's a retail darling. So is it worth 50 times sales? I wouldn't be so sure about that, versus when ServiceNow is worth 15. But it's one of those things you got to respect good execution where execution has happened, and Palantir is absolutely one of those companies.